I've never seen the movie. It's a mad, 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 mad world. 1963, I understand. I read about it today just to understand what the point was. And in reading the plot, I figured out the title is exactly accurate. I mean, go in there and read what the thing is about. It's goofy. It's just apparently a whole bunch of people trying to find $350,000 buried in a park. And a lot of crazy stuff happens. Well, it's a mad, 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 mad world. That's exactly what Solomon said in the long ago. Solomon, in fact, used that term. If you'll turn to the book of Ecclesiastes, let's look at the places where he actually said that, in addition to the one that was read here. Chapter 1, verse 17, I set my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this is grasping for the wind. Chapter 2, verse 12, I turned myself to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who succeeds the king? Only what he has already done. Chapter 7, verse 25, I applied my heart to know, to search and seek out wisdom and the reason of things, to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. And then in chapter 10, verse 13, the words of his mouth begin with foolishness. The end of his talk is raving madness. In addition to the text of chapter 9, madness. Now, I'm a big March Madness fan, so this is why I'm preaching about it, because I'm thinking about it. I love the madness of the moment. Now, I understand a lot of people aren't basketball fans, not sports fans. I get that. But I'm telling you, the madness is real. Last second shots, bailout fouls, missed shots. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It is absolute mayhem and madness. And I love it. And I get into it, and I enjoy it, and I seek it out, and I try to catch as many games as I can. That's just who I am. I enjoy it. Now, some of you may not know, but for those of you who do remember, how many of you saw on Facebook, which of course I did not, but I was told about it, Will Hopkins doing his March Madness bracket? Did you see that? Will Hopkins, Shelby Roy's grandson. What's Will, 7, 8 years old? Will picked the big upset, the 16 over the 1. He picked it on his bracket, and they're showing it. You can see it. They even filmed or videoed him filling out the bracket so that it wasn't done after it was over. Will picked the madness properly. We live still, I think, in a world of madness. Now, how are you going to survive it? How are we going to survive the madness? Well, there are a lot of ways to survive the madness we're going through right now. Some people survive it by just refusing to watch it. Stay away from it. Have nothing to do with it. Talked to my brother on the phone, and in the midst of talking to him, he's from Alabama. Alabama was playing on television. And I said, and Alabama's winning. And he said, what sport? That's my brother. And he just checks out. He doesn't care. It matters not to him at all. He survives the madness by just leaving it alone. I survive the madness by getting totally into it. Because here's my problem. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want somebody else telling me what happened. I want to see it. In fact, when that upset was taking place, I called Rebecca and Aubrey into the room and I said, you get in here, you need to be a part of history. They usually don't necessarily do what I tell them, but they did at that moment. Because that's how I survive it. And I make sure I see as much of it as I can. But now, you take that concept of madness and it fits. It fits life. And while I pursue it, like many of you do, when you think about it from the perspective that Solomon was considering it, Solomon seems not too intelligent, does he? I mean, here's a guy whom God made the wisest man who ever lived. And yet, what did he say? I went after the madness. If he was talking about the NCAA bracket, we would understand it. But that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about, I went after the madness that is all around me. And he went at it full force. The problem that strikes me in Ecclesiastes is that Solomon went looking for trouble. He went looking for it. I mean, come on. If you hang around life long enough, it'll find you. And there'll be plenty of it. Plenty of it will find us. But why would we go look for more? Let's define the madness. The madness might be defined as college students getting to the end of their program, right? What's on the horizon? Where am I going to get a job? Where am I going to live? It's madness. I hear about madness a lot with young families, especially during worship time. And a mother will say, well, again, I didn't hear anything because I had 3 kids crawling all over me. And young families trying to juggle children and work and recreation and God. It's madness. Then there are those families that are experiencing madness because their families are about to leave home and start their own families. And that's madness. Or how about the madness of those of us as we get older, looking to the years of retirement and wondering, are we going to be able to be okay? I had to punch Tim Ross this morning because when I mentioned my string of 35 years broken for being sick on a Sunday, and I started a new streak today, and I passed him, he said it was a whole lot easier to keep that 35-year streak intact on that end than it will be on this end. He's probably right. But you don't punch a guy when he's down. Madness. Then there is the madness that's associated with losing a job, losing a relationship, having financial difficulties, facing all kinds of issues that confront us on a daily basis. This is a mad, 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 mad world. How are you going to survive it? Well, I want to look here in Ecclesiastes. Turn over there if you will, and quickly, let me give you some hints from Solomon. It sounds rather strange that Solomon would do what he did because being as smart as he is, you would think, oh, come on, guy, you don't really need to do what you're doing. But obviously, there are lessons that we can learn. I want you to notice what happens. Number one, I want to show you that the madness of the world can cause madness in your own life. Here's a guy who had it all. And in verse 2, as he opens the book, he says, "Vanity of vanities," says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. He pursued the madness of life to such a degree that it clouded his view of life in general. What he learned was that when you pursue madness, when you go after that, it will color your view of the rest of the world. It's madness. Obviously, the first thing that he would want us to know is, don't go pursuing it. It'll find you. But let's look at a few things that he says. It's amazing to me. Chapter 1, basically, he tells us how to avoid it, so that the rest of the book, he says, here's what got me in trouble. First of all, verse 3. What profit has a man from all his labor in which he toils under the sun? To survive the madness, the first thing we have to understand is, what is the real profit behind the madness of the world in which you are living? What's the real profit? What is it that is valuable in the madness of the world? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that we're trying to find? What is it that we are pursuing? And what is its real value? Oftentimes, Austin and I have talked about our love of sports and getting behind a team and being let down. And oftentimes the statement will be, I wish I did not care so much so that I wouldn't go through the times of being let down. What do you care about? Solomon wants to know, what do you care about? What's really valuable in life that you are willing to pursue the madness that is all around? Solomon says, you better figure out what real value is, because the madness will hit you at every turn. Number 2, starting in verse 4, Solomon says, you need to pay attention. Pay attention, because things can teach lessons and help you avoid the madness. Listen to what he wrote. One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it arose. The wind goes toward the south and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place from which the rivers come, there they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. You know what he's saying? He said, keep your eyes open and learn and listen. You don't have to go learn the lessons that I went after, because I'll teach you. I will never forget, Tom Holland taught one of my first Bible classes at Freed-Hardeman, who offhandedly just made the statement when asked about the type of particular movie rated in a certain way, and he said, I don't have to go stand in a trash can to know it's dirty. That's a great statement. Solomon pursued the trash can. He ran after the madness. He could have looked all around himself and seen all the problems that the madness of the world offers, but no, he just ran headlong. And now he's saying to us, everything comes around. Pay attention. All we would have to do right now in this room is look around. And people who would be willing to volunteer would say, this is what happened. You don't have to do this. Don't go here. Don't be this way. I've been there. I wish somebody had helped me stop. Keep your eyes open and pay attention. Number 3, look at verse 9. That which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. There's nothing new under the sun. Number 3, to survive the madness, recognize this is not brand new. Everybody's had to go through it. You're not the first one. I'm not the first one. We're not soloists here. Everybody's been through it. And you can choose not to. I can choose not to let the madness get a hold of me. There's nothing new here. Everything that we could talk about that causes problems to our lives, brings madness in our lives, we could go throughout history and find the very same things. And the pursuit of them had the very same effect. Why should I think I'm any different? Why should I think I can pursue the madness and I'll be okay? Oh, I know Solomon messed up. And I know this one and this one and this one and this one, but not me. I'm going to be okay. Nothing new under the sun. I'm not any better. You're not any better. You better wake up. But then finally, Solomon says 3 things. 3 things related to the madness of life. You better get your needs and your wants properly parceled out. Now, isn't that the biggest problem we have? One of the biggest problems we have is needs versus wants. And we can frame it in such a way that we can almost convince ourselves that, in fact, that want is a need. In fact, I can frame it in the context of the things that we are talking about here. For instance, made me mad a long time ago when the NCAA tournament decided to be taken off of the antenna and put on the premium channels. Now, those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, you can't just turn on channel 27 and watch all the games. Just can't do it. They now put them on True TV and TBS and TNT, and at the time, I couldn't find them. Didn't have them. I need them. Sure, I wanted them, but I needed them. I needed all those channels because you know what? It's healthy. Because if I don't get them, I'm going to kill myself. That's exactly how I could frame it to me. I could frame it very well that way. I need it. That's probably why my children learned to say that so well. And might I say, yours did too? Oh, but I need it. No, you don't need it. You want it. Yeah, I want it, but I need it. The problem is we don't always need it. Chapter 2, verse 10. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure. I need to take it easy. I need recreation. I need vacation. I need fun. Sure, I get that. I get that. But what are you really needing? What is it you're really wanting? That's the methodology to get what you really want. What do you really want? Satisfaction. I just want to be satisfied with life. So many people pursue pleasure because in the pursuit of the pleasure, it dulls the sense of not being satisfied with your life. There are a lot of people pursuing the madness, and what that pursuit is doing is actually hiding that inside of them they're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They're not content. And the only way they can find it is to go out here and pursue the madness. But if you're looking for satisfaction and real contentment, there's a way to find it without pursuing the madness. We all know that real contentment and satisfaction is found in relationships. It's found in time with God. It's found in meaningful pursuits. And that's a far better satisfaction. We all know that you can dull some child's hunger by throwing candy at them when they're hungry. But that doesn't really satisfy. It merely coats the situation. I got to do the grandparent thing this weekend. My daughter wanted to kill me. It's okay. Blakely's sitting there. There's a sucker sitting there. And I go, sucker, baby, she'll love it. And I'm feeding her suckers. She's big mouth open and coming and getting it. I don't know if Aubrey was ready to introduce that or not. I don't care. Because you know what? I needed to do it. But that kind of pleasure is passing. It's not fulfilling. It's not full. Number two, I have to work. I got to have overtime. I got to have double overtime. I got to keep working. Chapter 4, verse 8. He spoke of one who is alone without a companion. There's no end to all of his labors. Sometimes we need to work. God says we have to work. Everybody needs to work. But what are you looking for? If you're constantly working all the time, a preacher friend of mine ended up in a rehab center in Florida, battling overwork syndrome. His family suffered. His friends suffered. His personal health suffered. Because all he wanted to do was work. That's madness. What are you looking for? Success. It's not the work. It's not that people just have to have the work. They're looking for success. We can find success elsewhere. Find success in relationships. Find success in completing tasks. Find success in offering yourself in service to other people. Here's what you say you need, but this is what you really want. You really want to have success in life. That's what you really want. Finally, verse 16 of chapter 4. Solomon said there was no end of all the people over whom he was made king, yet those who come after will not rejoice in him. I need to spend time with my friends. I need to be out there. I need to be around all of those people out there because, man, that's where I get my life. That's what I need. What are you really wanting? What you really want is significance. You're looking for significance. We all are. We want to matter to somebody. We want to matter to ourselves. See, we get our needs and wants mixed up. I don't need to spend every moment away from work with my friends over there somewhere. It's not meaning it's bad. But what am I really trying to do? I'm trying to be significant. Let's find our significance in God. That's what Solomon would say. Find your significance in things that are of real value and real concern. Here's the problem. So many people are pursuing the madness. You see it in advertising, movies, songs. Come enjoy the madness. And what it actually is doing is it is an attempt to fill the holes and the voids in life. Solomon had a void. He had a hole. And he filled it with all kinds of things that just did not work. And after filling the holes of his life with all of these things, he said, it's all vanity. Are you pursuing the madness of life? The worst part of my work, the worst part of these men who shepherd this congregation, the worst part of every preacher's life, every shepherd's life, is dealing with people who pursue the madness at the expense of what really counts. We're losing marriages. People are losing jobs. They're losing their own health because they have one goal. It's not like they sat down and said, I'm going to be like Solomon. I'm going after the madness. But that's exactly what they're doing. And it's costing us congregationally. It's costing us in our country. It's costing us because we're giving up everything for the madness. Listen to Solomon. He's been there. He'll help us. If the madness has gotten in control of your life, let's find a way to get out of it. Release yourself from the burden of the madness of the world. That's what God wants. That's why the story of Solomon, I'm sure, is included in Scripture. The church should be a haven away from the madness of the world. We're here for you. As people, we want to help each other. We want to help us to deal with the madness and to remain intact with things that really count. Can we help you tonight? If you let us know, let us stand and sing together.